Hey everybody, welcome to the OSG Garage. First off, I want to say I'm sorry. It's been over 8 months since our last video. That's such a long time, but we've had a lot going on, as you'll see in a little bit. So today, what I want to do is give you kind of an update on some new acquisitions, some new garages, and give you an idea of the kind of video that you're going to see in the next little bit. All right, so come on, let's go. I'll show you. Let's go. Come on. All right, so first off, I want to show you a little bit about, well, the latest OSG Garage. We lived in the Bay Area for about the last 5 or 6 years, and recently we decided to move up to what a lot of people would call, well, God's country. We're here in Northern California, and when we bought the house, it didn't have a big enough garage for us, so I built this. This is a 24 by 36 Versatube building, where I'm really not considering it to be a shop yet. I'm pretty much thinking it's just going to be kind of a barn to hold everything in there. I've got another 3-car garage attached to the house, and one side of it, of the garage, is just a bay with all the tools and everything in it. So right here, all this thing is basically just storage for us. We need storage. We've got a few more extra bikes than what we had before, and quads and everything else. So first off, KDX and the KX are still here. No worries. Haven't done anything to them yet, much more. Just ridden them. We got 20 acres on this property, and I'm going to show you in a separate video some of the trails and things that we've built around here. And rest assured, these two guys get their workout on here. We got Linda's TTR 230. And something that's real fun to ride around on your property is the 125. It's a little bigger, I guess, than a pit bike, but it's awesome for going up and down hills. You get your feet on the ground, so things that are maybe a little harder to get up and down on a regular bike, you'll be able to get up and down on that. Now, one thing about the KDX that I've been finding is kind of its height. I'm only about 5'7", and I'm basically shrinking in my old age, and it's really hard on this bike when you're riding it hard, and you fall over a bit. You don't really fall or have an accident, but going up hills, going on some steep terrain, and the bike kind of tips over, getting it up and getting it kick started can be kind of a problem when you can barely get your toes on the ground. So I've got some lowering links from Kuba Industries, and I'm going to show you a video coming up in a little bit about putting the lowering links on it and what we have to do to the suspension and everything else on the front of it in order to get the thing about 1 inch to 1.5 inches lower. Now the hope is the lowering links don't alter or change the characteristics of how the bike runs. So that's what I'm going to take a peek at, and if I like it, we'll keep it, and if not, we'll keep the lowering links on, and if not, we'll put it back to its original form. I'm not getting rid of the KDX. I might get rid of the KX 125 because frankly I just don't ride it enough, and I don't really want to be a collector of 90s bikes yet. We'll get to the collector part in a minute, but if I have to get rid of something, it might be this, and then I might be starting to look for something with an electric start. Not a Honda, not a Yamaha, not a KTM, maybe like a Beta or something like that. So for a trails, like a cross trainer, something, a 2-stroke with an electric start would be awesome. Now for the street bikes, still got the GPZ 550, and man, this thing is a blast to ride up here in some of the roads in the foothills of the Sierras. It's just in its natural element here. The twisties, it just loves it, and I'm really loving this bike. It's got just enough horsepower, right around 60 with some of the mods I have in it. Super comfortable Corbin custom seat. It's just an awesome machine, and I don't ride every day anymore because I'm kind of still working remote and I don't have to drive to work. So I don't need a nice everyday motorcycle. So the Z900 that I was going to use for my daily transportation has basically been sitting and not doing much of anything. So sadly, it's going to be sold. For those of you who know, seen the video about the handlebar risers, I put it back to stock configuration, and I put it with still keep the Puig windscreen on it, and it will be up for sale. Now, if someone buys it and they want the handlebar risers, I will include them, no problem. Now, one thing we don't have on this property yet, on the 20 acres that we have, is a tractor. So instead of a tractor, what I've done is I found this old Honda TRX 200. And between this and a trailer that we have right there, we pretty much get all of our chores done around the property here, for pulling tools, bringing stuff down to the lower area, hauling dirt, hauling gravel, whatever we need to do, this machine gets it. I got a great deal on this thing. It's the first year Honda made a four-wheeler, so it's a 1984, I believe. And I got it for right around $1,000, and it's in great shape. And all I've really done to it is put a couple tires on it and cleaned it up a bit. Oh yeah, and we put a new seat cover on it because the old one was kind of ripped up a little bit. It just keeps going, and I'm not a real big fan of Honda dirt bikes, but these quads are indestructible, and you just can't kill them if you take care of them a little bit. One last motorcycle I want to show you guys. This is a 1970 Montesa Kota 247 trials bike. Now, I picked this up at a Barrett-Jackson auction earlier in this year for about $2,200, and I went up and picked it up a little while ago. I kind of bought it not knowing if it was a runner. There wasn't a lot of documentation. It was kind of an as-is bike, and boy, did I get lucky. When I first brought the thing home, all I did was kind of clean it out a little bit. I cleaned out the carburetor, made sure there was no bad gas in it, kind of went through it all because there were no fluids in it. And it fires up. It sounds awesome, and it kicks up pretty good. One thing that's interesting on this bike that I'm kind of not used to on an old vintage bike is the carburetor has a tickler on it, no choke. And it took me a while to really understand how the starting procedure needed to be on this bike. Basically, you hit the tickler until it leaks fuel out. It literally just floods it. And then it kicks over and starts right up. Now, I've already done some work to the bike. We got some new tires on it. I got some relatively inexpensive tires. I think they're IRC Trials tires, front and back. I changed out the handlebars here. On the original bike, the handlebar perches are welded to the bike, so you can't change the angle of them like this. They're kind of wherever you want. So there's a website in the UK called InMotion, a supplier, and all they deal, well, not all they deal with, but they deal with mostly Bultaco and older vintage stuff, whether it's motocross or trials. And they have a lot of parts for the Montesa for this bike. It's really cool. Kind of like our scooters in the corner over there. SIP Scooter Shop, some guys in the south, Scooter Mercado. They have basically everything you want for those old scooters. They have a lot for this bike as well too. So with the same chrome style bars, same period handlebars, and some perches that work with the clutch pulls. Now, on some of these things, the actual distance from here to here is smaller than on a regular lever. So it's got a different kind of mechanical advantage. You got to get the correct perches. But for the clutch and the brake, I got all that done, and it's really a nice riding position now. I've got a carburetor rebuild kit from these guys with all the gaskets and stuff that I need. When I originally tore this open, I had to make my own gasket for the float bowl because it kind of tore up when I took it apart to check it. So I'll be going through the carburetor and redoing that as well. Other things are the actual slider sticks on the carb. You can kind of see that. You got to kind of tap it with a screwdriver handle every now and then if it goes to full. So I got to figure out what's going on with that. Also, there's a boot for the air cleaner, but not an air cleaner element up here. And I have that part from InMotion as well too. So the last thing that I have to do to this bike is rebuild the front forks. The forks themselves have no basic, there's no fork seals in it. The oil just kind of pumps out and leaks all over the place. I did refill it up with some 7-weight fork oil, and I have all the specs for that. I also have the fork seals and bushings for it. So we're going to be doing a video coming up about rebuilding the forks in this thing as well too. So we'll do the forks and the carb in one video. That ought to be a pretty cool video. And I'll show you some of the riding around that you do with this bike. So let's take a quick look at this, this metal building here. So when I first moved in here, all we had was a garage, a 3-car garage at the house. And we put up this little Shelter Logic tent just to keep the quad in it and a lawnmower. And it obviously just wasn't enough. Now the problem is I needed something relatively quick and relatively cheap. I couldn't get anything that I wanted. I originally wanted a 36 by 48 kind of size building, or a 30 by 50, something in that range. And it wasn't just the price, it was getting people out here to do all the work. You know, ordering the actual steel building, it was expensive. And it's not just that it was the cost that was bothering me, because I really don't mind the cost too much. And it was really not about the cost. And it's really not about the cost. It was about getting people out here in time to do the work, because I didn't want to wait a year for this, because I got a lot of things I want to do. So this building here, I was able to get someone out to pour the slab. It's basically just a slab on grade with some footings. And the building from Versatube only took about 4 to 6 weeks to get here. And I thought that was pretty good considering what I've heard with supply chain. And it wasn't hugely expensive. The first quote I got for I think it was a 36 by 48 building, all done, all considered, with someone coming in and doing all the work, hold on to your hats, was $115,000. Now, things are expensive out here in California. I totally get that, but that was just ridiculous. I subsequently got a couple other quotes, and that guy was not the most expensive. So with this building here, with the door, everything in it, I was able to do this within about 2 months. I did all the construction myself. I had someone help me with the roof panels and tipping up the main frames, and we did it right around $35,000. Now, I still don't have electric in it, but I can do that myself. I'm not in a hurry for that. The main thing for me was getting a roof to put everything under. Now, I know a lot of you are going to say that that's still expensive. I get that, but you're not out here in California if you're saying that. Things are a lot more expensive out here for whatever reason, whether it's the shipping or the concrete contractors are charging more, whatever it is. I'm pretty sure you could get a building like this built in Tennessee or the southeast for 20, 25. So like I said before, this building is not a working shop, kind of. I do come in here and play around with the motorcycles a little bit, but it's really a great storage for us. I got a lot of trim here. I've got a lot of motorcycle parts and wire racks. I can easily fit the trailer, a bunch of dirt bikes and other motorcycles in here, and I could still get a car. And when we finally do, I'll be able to put a tractor in here no problem too, because that's probably going to be the next thing in our future. Oh, before I forget, we got one more project that we're going on here. I had a neighbor of mine, the guy who helped me put up the roof. He had an old Tacoma that was barely running. Now, what I have here is a 06 Toyota Tacoma. It's a little beat up. It has about 240,000 miles on it. It's not in horrible shape. This side of it looks worse than the other side. And the great thing about California is this side's pretty clean. Chassis looks pretty good. It wasn't an accident, a front end accident. And at some point he had thought that there was some frame damage in the front. I haven't seen any yet. other than the superficial stuff like the mounting frame for radiators and stuff. Now, one thing about this car, I already took the head off because I did a compression check on it and 2 cylinders had 0 compression. So there was, and if you look in these cylinders, you can kind of see one is dead clean and the other ones have some carbon and oxidation. These 2 are pretty clean. These guys are black. There was a head gasket blew out right here on the motor, so it wasn't working very well. So I had thought I could just take the head, have it decked, have the valves checked for pressure, and get back. So I took it to my local machine shop, and they said it was 9 thousandths out of flat, and it has cracks. So at that point, it's basically not worth saving. So I'm at a crossroads. I'd like to get this thing running for what I paid for it. Even if I put a couple grand into it, I know I could turn around and flip it and make some good money on it. I could probably also part it out, but I can get a new head from Rock Auto for about 450 bucks, switch all the valve gear over to it, put a new head gasket on it, and see if I can just get the thing running. At that point, I'll only have about 600 bucks between the head and the gaskets in it. If I still can't get the thing running, then I can just part it out. Now, if it does run, I might go a little deeper into it. But the dilemma I have is, do I go into that block, take it apart, use a little dingle nut hone on it, maybe put some new rings on it? I don't know. Give me your thoughts down and below what you think I should do, okay? This vehicle would be great for out here on the property for running around, picking up brush, pulling up trailers. I don't even have to get it registered, and I wouldn't even have to take it on the road. So that's where I'm at with it. So let me know in your comments below what you think I should do. All right, so that kind of gets you up to speed on where we've been for the last 8 months or so. The next few videos we're going to have up, we'll probably do the Montesa first, and then we're going to work on that KDX lowering link and show you a little bit about the trails that we have on the property down there. Remember, if you like what you see, please subscribe, hit like, share with your friends, and until next time, we'll see you later on the OSG Garage. Bye-bye, everybody.